It's raining pretty good out today, but I got my seals and I'm going to put them in, and then maybe I can get this transmission back together. No luck finding a neutral switch for it, so if one ever shows up in the future, I'll have to put that in. Pop that one out. Now it's just a matter of putting the two new ones in. Okay, simple 2-minute job. I've been waiting days for those parts. Now comes the tricky part. Oh boy, getting this thing in and right. So I imagine I'm going to have to spin it around with something on here to get it in properly so it meshes with these gears correct. So there's a seal that goes in here, and that's for the neutral wire. And since I don't have one and this is open, I'm just going to stick a piece of wire through here and cut it off just so it doesn't leak. Alright, I took the speedometer cable piece out that someone had just cut right out. I'm going to put a gasket on this. Now, I'm going to try to figure this out. Alright, so it goes this way. Kick down on it's going to spin this way. So you want these over here, so you want this thing clocked all the way around, I think. So what would be the best way to do that? I think I could probably get on these splines with some, I mean I could use the lever, but I have a feeling that's going to get in the way of this. I'm not sure though. Maybe we try that. Yeah, I don't want to put this on all the way. It's pulling it out though as you go around. If I push this down. Will that hold? Is that good? Don't want to ruin this gasket either. No, that fell out now. And we're going to try this again. think I'm going to do it the way that I had originally thought, because that's just going to keep snapping back until, yeah, it sends it out. I don't think this is the way I want it either, though. No, this can't be right. Let's just see what happens. Maybe? All right, well, sure we'll find out when we go to kickstart it. I apologize for not recording while I put this in, but everything's in really loose. I just kind of started lifting it up and putting it in, and once I did that, it was kind of impossible to turn the camera on. So that's in loose. I guess next would be the engine while this is still loose. I have to put this mounted first. I don't know. I don't remember. All right. Let me try to muscle that in. I don't know if I got the right bolts in the right spots, but if not, I can swap them out. Some seem kind of short, some seem kind of long, but yeah, whew, that went in pretty easy compared to how I thought it was going to go. I'll just put that one in to hold that. All right, I gotta put the gear on the other side. Put the generator in. The chain on there, new cam chain tensioner. Missing the clip for here. Not sure what happened to it. I gotta look for that. So I got my new rings and I'm checking the ring gaps. And right now I have the top ring in there, which is supposed to be 0.0078 to 0.016. All right, so I don't have 0.0078, but I have a 0.008. So that's a little bit bigger. That fits in there just fine, so that's good. And 0.016. I've checked that and it will not fit. So we're good. And I've checked the other two rings. This one is just slightly bigger than that one. And this one has the biggest gap, which it's supposed to, the oil ring. So I think we're good on these. I had to wait. It didn't take long. These came from Japan. Took maybe a week. 2 sets of rings, $25. Can't beat that. Genuine Kawasaki pistons. Arrow's always going to point towards the front of the engine, or the exhaust side on this case. Let's get my piston ring expanding pliers out. We'll do the same with these. We're going to check them in the other cylinder, make sure all the gaps are good. Just in case for some reason there's a difference in them. I don't want to get one of these things, you know, bound up. So you got your oil ring, your top compression ring, and your second compression ring. Top compression ring on these is going to be silver. Normally you look for a mark. It'll tell you top or bottom. I don't think it matters with these rings. At least it didn't. I put these in the XS2, a set of these rings from this company, Cruise and Image. It had no issues with them, but yeah, I think I even emailed them and asked them if there was a top and bottom. Maybe on the XS2 there was for the second ring. I don't know, but these don't seem to have a difference top and bottom. Normally there'll be a punch mark or a number or letter or something up there. All right, so we'll put the second set in, and then we can put our pistons in the cylinders. And again, clocking the rings, you don't want it like this, gap, gap, gap. So put your rings. If there's a diagram for them, that's fine. If not, I put these like, you know, every third. Okay, wrist pin clips. You're really not supposed to reuse the original ones, so they're cheap enough. I bought this whole bag. You know, this must be like 8 of them or so in there, for only a few bucks online. So we'll put the ones on the inner, and we'll put the pistons in the cylinder, and then we'll slide the pins part of the way through. That way when we drop it on, we can slide them the rest of the way through. I'm going to put some assembly lube on the cam and on these tappets, so that won't start dry. I think what I'm going to do is probably put, well, once the cover's on, like a half a cup of oil in this engine. This being a dry sump, but still on startup, I want that pump sucking up something to get it primed. So we'll do that. Yeah, a couple little tricks to get this thing going. All these brackets are still loose. Tranny's still loose. Once we get this nut on, then I can put the other bracket in there, tighten everything else up. Now when you're putting these clips in, I have the gap here. From what I've been told, you're not supposed to have it in either one of these openings. I don't know if it can do any damage if you have it that way, but that's what I've heard. Putting in the piston rings, I'm just using a pen, plastic part of a pen. Get the rings started. Make sure the gaps stay where I want them. Kind of rock it back and forth. Get one of the gap ends started. Okay. There we go. Second one, this is the front of the engine. So we're going to go here. And there we go. 2 pistons down, ready to go. Gotta get some vice grips kind of holding that crank from rotating that way. Got my gasket on. Make sure that's down all the way. I've got a rubber mallet here. I don't know if that's gonna work or not to hold the cylinders up, but we'll see. Failed attempt number 1. Okay, I may have that one started. Okay, now I just got to get the clips in without dropping them down inside the engine. Easier said than done, right? All right, there's one. Okay, there's two. All right, good deal. And these three back ones are really the only three that are easy to get at. So I got all new nuts and washers for these. I think they're, is it 10 by 125? Ooh, I'm sweating something fierce out here. Yeah, this was the problem one before. All right, I do not have the correct tool to go in there to torque these, so guess what? We're just tightening them. This is just a base gasket. This isn't the head gasket, so tight is going to be tight. All right, all those bolts tightened. Now we can put the rest of the mounts in, tighten them all up. Okay, not sure where I left it last time, but I do have the levers on. I have front signal lights on. They mount right to here, and the wire just runs through the stem a little bit. I put the rear rail on, the fender support, only through the shock bolts. I had to order some M8 by 50 bolts to go through here. I didn't have any of those. I got the tail light on. I got a grommet in there. I kind of made a harness that I'm going to use to run up through here. I think right now I'm going to put the head on. I've got it top dead center, and I've got a new plug here, but I got it marked where top dead center is, so I can put the distributor in later after I get the oil lines in. Yeah, so I'm going to put the cylinder head on next. All right, put my head gasket on there. And now I'm going to put the head on. Making sure everything is absolutely clean between those surfaces. Drop that on. I got to drop the bolts in and torque them up. Torquing the head bolts. We're going to torque them to 36 foot-pounds. going to go up incrementally. I'll have to get a longer socket for these when I do the final torque. Okay, I'll go up a little more and then I'll do the finished torque. Okay, everything's torqued. I guess we can put the push rods in and attempt to get this rocker box cover on, because this is going to be tricky from what I've read. I did buy the tool for it, so we'll see if I can get it on the first shot or not. I just put a little bit of assembly lube on both ends of the push rods, and I put a little on each tip of the valve stem. All right. Hopefully those all went in the right rockers. I'm going to take a flashlight and take a look at that. All right, the rocker bolts are all in. I had to put these brackets on because the bolts go through them. I got to adjust the valves now. We'll set them. I got to find out what the spec is for them. I believe I got to do the right cylinder first. I think that's the way this cam is right now. We'll see. And yeah, I'll get the spec and I'll get back to you. Okay, when I said I had this on correctly, I lied. Neither intake valve would open. The exhaust worked, but neither intake, the push rods weren't correctly seated in there. So I had to do this like 3 or 4 more times before I finally got them to seat right. What a pain. But it's on now. I've adjusted the valves. I can put the rocker covers on, but that will be for another time, as I'm just absolutely beat. I got some parts to put that rear fender on. I found out I put this tube in backwards, so I got to switch that around. Shouldn't be a big deal, but yeah, fun times. All right, so with that, I will bid you farewell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.